just happen for me. I would meet someone and just start hitting all those adult landmarks. Love, relationship, wedding, house, kids, couples counseling.
Born child in a gigantic Irish Catholic family. Firstborn grandchild, thank you. And as such, my birth was greeted sort of like the birth of Jesus, with a lot of fanfare and joy. And in fact, my family used to have parties where the entire event at the party was to put me on a blanket in the middle of the floor, and all the aunts and uncles would sit in a circle around me and just look at me. Just look at me like kick and coo and whatever. And I think the obvious question when you hear that story is, why not just pick me up like a normal baby? Why not just hold me? But that's something I talk about in therapy and not on stage. Should have been my sophomore year in DC, working as a cashier at Walmart, taking classes at the local community college, and trying to adjust to a life that no longer contained lattes or Thai food. My mom suggested that I think of my time in DC as a year abroad. And I thought, well, she was the coolest person in the entire world. She had 3 things that I knew were going to be part of my adulthood, however form it took. And they were her own place, the ability to buy beer, and a tongue ring. And those 3 things in combination made her literally the most glamorous person. And I was so excited when I started doing this, you guys. I had hope, like huge amounts of hope. I was like, why did I not do this earlier? The internet is like a boyfriend catalog. And I'm gonna be so good at this. I'm gonna be like reasonable and generous and give people the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna have rules and boundaries and limitations. I'm gonna stick to them, and I am gonna win. I'm gonna win this. I'm the worst judge of character ever. Like, how could I have spent all this time with this person who is obviously a complete sociopath and not ever suspected it? Like, he's gonna come out of the bedroom any minute and kill us with an axe, and that's why I'm gonna end up on Dateline. Because that's what crazy people do when their web of lies is exposed. But then another part of me was able to take a step back and say, I've got to get the fuck out of this town. This would never happen in Paris. I got even more alarmed when Sugar's turned out to be not a bar, but a row house. And not just a row house, but as we stepped inside, a row house full of people doing massive amounts of drugs. There was, everyone was smoking weed, people were cutting lines on the tables, and money was openly changing hands. And as I started to sort of take that in, I noticed that while there were very few women there, I was one of the only ones whose clothing adequately covered her vagina. And while at that tender point in my life, I had never actually seen pimps and prostitutes before, it turns out that, like pornography, you know it when you see it.
He reached across the table and took my hand, and all of a sudden, I felt like I was holding onto a live electrical wire. My arm was tingling so hard that I lost the power of speech, and my heart was like skittering around inside my chest, and when I looked across the table at him, I swear I heard a choir of angels singing in the distance. I couldn't see the Cosby sweater or the comb over anymore through a haze of pure desire. And from that moment on, I was a goner. You guys, I want you to really hear me when I say this because it's not something I say lightly. I would have moved to Alexandria to be with him. And I don't even mean Old Town. I mean like Kingstown, outside the Beltway.